They say Will Smith doesn't need to curse to sell records. Well, I do. So fudge him and fudge you too. This is Jar Humor speaking, and I'd like to talk to you about overthinking. This is the third time I've attempted to record this speech, and the irony is not lost on me. The first two times, I was overthinking it. I was trying too hard. And I think the reason for that is because this is a subject that bothers me. It's something very personal to me. It means something, okay? There's this thing I read in Emile Couillet's How to Master Yourself Through auto suggestion. I don't know, I have it somewhere. But anyways, he said if you have to walk across like a piece of wood, like a 2x4 that's laying on the ground, it's no problem to you, right? It's called self-mastery through conscious auto-suggestion. Damn, Emile Couillet, you want to come up with an easier title for people? Anyways, in this little, it's like a pamphlet. It's not even like a book. He talks about how if a plank of wood was laying on the ground, it would be easy for you to walk across it. But he says if I put that same plank of wood 100 feet in the air, you will have a hard time crossing that same plank of wood. Of course you would. You think you're going to fall. That would be terrifying. You could even put that like 10 feet off the ground and I'd be like, no, I'm not walking across that. So the point I'm trying to make, considering overthinking, is me attempting to talk about overthinking, that plank is 100 feet in the air. I don't like the subject matter one bit. I overthink it. But something amazing happened tonight. I came home from work, and I'm feeling I'm feeling good. I'm feeling like I'm ready to entertain some people. I pick up the voice recorder, and I pontificate 27 solid minutes of pure entertainment. I record one of these speeches that just, boom, I was on fire. I'm like, yes. And what I realized was I'm sorry, the cat's distracting me. She just meowed at me. She's throwing me off my game. I realized that I wasn't overthinking it. I was mostly pulling from the subconscious mind. I told great anecdotes from my life. Like I was just in the flow state. Right? What, baby? All right, I will pay attention to you and speak to the internet at the same time. Now, this is like patting your head and rubbing your stomach at the same time. I don't think I can do this, baby. I gotta talk to the people on the internet. You're gonna have to hold on a minute. Anyways, I'm in the flow state, right? And I realize that even when I stumbled, like I would quote someone and I couldn't remember who said the quote, I just kept going. In the first two recordings of me trying to talk to you about overthinking, I would go, oh, hold on a second, let me stop the recording, let me look this up. Let me try to find out who this is. I want to make sure I have all the notations and citations, everything. Like I want to make sure I get this right for you. And it's like, oh, calm down. Nobody cares. First of all, no one's listening to this. No one. I told a couple people, like my close friends, that I just simplified it because I don't consider this a podcast, but I just like, look, I started a podcast. This week, and they're like, oh, that's interesting. Not a single one asked me where they could listen to it. No one wants to listen to anyone's podcast. I think it's funny, but so let's talk about overthinking. Let me see if I can actually pull one out of my butt here. Let's go for it. Overthinking to me is all about fear and control. When we're afraid of looking stupid, Charlie Chaplin said, it takes courage to make a fool of yourself. I think about that all the time. Sometimes you just you have to have that courage to know that, you know what, you're not always gonna look good. Sometimes people are gonna see that you have a giant zit on your nose. Sometimes like you ever like wash your hands in the bathroom and spill water all over the front of yourself, and you're like, oh, well, it looks like I peed myself. That's just what it looks like, and I'm going to have to go about my life now like this. I've seen people wearing white pants with very clear crap stains down the back of them, and I'm like, God bless them. That's what it's like to be human right there. I try not to judge people too much, because I am people. I think that's one of the horrible things, that we tend to overthink, in particular, like the way we look. Like, I got to make sure my hair looks good, and I got to make sure my clothes are right, and because people are judging me. Why do we think people are judging us? Because we're judging people. We are constantly judging others. We are constantly comparing ourselves to others. You want to compare yourself to someone? Compare yourself to yourself. That's what I always say. Am I getting any better? Am I getting any better? And I don't take it too seriously. Like, I don't have to get a lot better, but it'd be nice to get a little better. You know, am I better off than I was a year ago, or am I a little worse off? Don't think about it too hard. You may get very sad. But if you become aware that, like, all right, things are not going to be perfect. To me, everything is about balance. In the last recording I just made, which I don't know if it's going to come out before or after this recording, once again, doesn't matter, no one's listening. I had talked about how I believe a lot in balance, the law of attraction. I've read The Secret. I've read quite a few of those goofy New Age books about positive thinking and about a positive mindset. And you know what? It works. It works. It actually works to think more positive about things. Does it really work, James? Do you mean if I picture myself behind the wheel of my brand new car, I'm going to get it? No, you're going to have to pay for that. But you should. I'm sorry. I'm being mean there. Yes, it's possible for you to get your car, but you don't know how it's going to happen. Most people get their cars either because they paid for it, or they're a teenager and it was given to them by their family. You can always tell those kids, because what 16-year-old chooses a minivan? You know? So, yeah. But you should have goals. You should strive for goals. But at the same time, you're going to have to put in the work. But optimism opens up doors. Optimism lets you see the path forward on something. Overthinking is an element of, it's control. You're trying to control the outcome. You're trying to control how things are going to happen for you. Overthinking is worry. Like, oh, well, if I think about this long enough, I can solve this problem. Einstein said, you can't solve a problem with the same mind that created it. You can't fix your problems by overthinking the problem. You can focus on solutions. You can seek advice from other people. Start telling people your problems, but not in a negative sort of way. Don't gripe like, oh, I don't know what to do about this and this and this. Do it in more of a solution. Hey, I'm looking for solutions. Anyone got a solution to this? I got this problem. I'm looking for a solution. If you ask enough people in that positive sort of light, they'll give you opinions. Most of those opinions will be garbage. But you'll get this instinct when you're like, hey, that resonates with me. Hey, I think that's something. And you might try it out. You might try it out. It might work. But when you start looking for opportunities, you tend to find them. Seek and ye shall find, said Jesus. Does anyone know who that is? They wrote a book about him. They wrote the second half about him. The first half is a little weird. The first half's really kind of violent, and God's kind of a dick in that first half of that book. But he's all peace and love in the second half. Until it gets to Revelations, then it all just goes to hell again. So, but Christ consciousness is something I believe in. I believe in thinking from the heart as well as from the mind, where you go out there and you actually feel things. Feeling things, being in that flow state, which I think the Japanese called Santori. Maybe it's the Japanese. I don't know. It's someone. that flow state. I remember also reading Zen and the Art of Archery, which I don't know its like if it comes from Chinese philosophy or Japanese philosophy. I don't know. All right, and it's okay that I don't know. And I'm not going to stop this recording to go look it up, because it's okay to not know. Don't overthink it. All right, you look it up. You that might or may not be listening. No one's listening to this. What's funny is I now officially hate myself, and I promise to never do the no one's listening joke, because obviously you're listening. You hear this thing. One thing that I bought, like, I have a bunch of like Mel Brooks DVDs, right? And I saw there was audio commentary on them, and I'm like, oh, I'm so excited to listen to Mel Brooks talk about his films. What a huge mistake that is. I think it's Blazing Saddles, but I don't remember. It's Blazing Saddles or Young Frankenstein. Or The Producers. It's one of those. But Mel Brooks does not understand the concept of a DVD commentary. So the whole time he's overthinking it. He's like, who's listening to this? No one's listening to this. Why? You could be listening to the movie if you turn this audio track off, but instead you're listening to me. So I apologize wholeheartedly for making that joke more than once. That horse is dead. I don't know why I'm beating it. That horse is dead, and I promise to not make that joke anymore, because I just realized how much I hate myself for doing that. And when I say that, I don't mean that literally. I'm being facetious, and I'm actually very careful of that type of self-talk. I often catch people say things like, oh, I'm an idiot, or I hate myself, or something like that. I never say that seriously. If I say it, it's quick, it's snarky, I laugh while I'm saying it, because I know I don't believe it, though I should be careful affirming anything like that. People who say to me things like, oh, I hope you're, like if you sneeze, they say, oh, I hope you're not coming down with a cold. I'm like, what is that? I hope you don't get cancer. Is that polite? Is that nice? Don't say that to me. Don't say that. Don't say, I hope you don't become ill. I hope that's not terminal. I hope you don't die suddenly from sneezing. It's like, are you insane? Don't talk to people that way. The other one is drive safe. Drive safe. Thank you. Thank you so much for telling me that. Me, I was just going to close my eyes and listen for the bumps. That's how I know I've wandered too far into another lane. Oh, let me adjust this. Drive safe. I hate it when people say that. Those are worriers. You can tell a worrier that when they say, I hope you're not getting sick, or drive safe. They worry too much. They overthink things. Don't overthink life, but also don't underthink life. Okay? Mark Passio, who's an ex-occultist, gives this great talk about care. And he cites it as being one of the main things that people lack in this world, because he talks about how the goal of humanity is sovereignty, which we're nowhere near. We still need society, we still need laws, we still need authority to help protect us from ourselves, because we're not sovereign yet. We cannot take care of ourselves. And of course the powers that be, the archon, that's a Greek word that means rulers and masters, they keep making us softer generation by generation. They keep making us weaker and softer, and that's terrible. Like they don't want us to have sovereignty. But you have to strive for sovereignty. You have to strive for taking care of yourself and being independent. I've also said that the best kind of relationships are interdependent relationships. There are 3 types of relationships. There's dependent, codependent, and interdependent. A dependent relationship is when one person sucks and the other person's got their stuff together. A codependent relationship is where both people kind of suck, but they kind of just manage to function, and they just kind of lean on each other, and it kind of works. That's most people. That's most like, we both are kind of terrible, but it kind of works. Interdependent relationships are the best relationships. Both people would be completely fine if they weren't with the other person. They don't need the other person for anything. they both get together, there's like this feedback loop, like a perpetual motion machine, like a free energy device. It's just like creating all this synergy and energy in the relationship, because they neither one of them need each other, but when they get together, they're like, hey, I've got my life together. Hey, I also have my life together, though no one's perfect. And that becomes a fantastic relationship. So that's what I strive for. I try to be independent. I try to have my act together. Try to get your life together. Try. You try. But also, remember not to overthink it. Don't overthink your life. Don't overthink, what am I going to do with my life? What is the purpose of my life? What is the meaning of life? All right? It's about growth. It's about learning. It's about experimentation. It's about empathy for other people who are going through the exact same things you are. Don't overthink it. Don't worry. All right? Be concerned. As Mark Passio said, care. You care. I don't have a direct quote from Mark Passio. I'm like, do I remember anything he said from that talk? I don't. Go look it up. Go look it up, Internet. Go look it up. Is anyone even listening? Is this thing on? Oh, once again, I hate myself. So, but not really. Don't overthink it. Fear, worry, control. People just want to. They think they can control their lives by thinking about it so damn much. Oh, if I just sit here and I just worry about everything, I can somehow control my life. And that's not the truth at all. Relax. Be at peace. Meditate. Sit down, watch some TV for a little bit. Just for a little bit, not all day long. But play a video game. Relax. Take it easy for a little bit. Maybe you'll find a solution then. Now, if you're just distracting yourself and anesthetizing yourself with either like drugs, alcohol, or whatever vice that you have, you're not exactly solving your problems. But when you're worrying about them, you're not solving them either, because you're focused on the problem and not solutions. Be an optimist. Don't say, why is my life so horrible? Say, what can I do to change my life? What can I do to fix things? What can I do? What is in my control? Because remember that. What is that? The serenity prayer? God grant me the serenity to, hey, I can focus on my stuff, but I can't, I don't know it. I honestly don't know it. Grant me the serenity, something. To know the difference. I remember that's part of it. To know the difference between what I can control and what I can't control. Strive for that wisdom, to know what you can control, what you can't control. Let some stuff go. Someone else did some injustice to you. They made you mad. They violated your rules that they didn't even know you had. You got to let it go. You got to forgive them first, even if they don't deserve it. A lot of people have a problem with that. What do you mean if they don't deserve it? I mean, if they don't deserve it, you should just forgive them. But why? And I go, because they're just people, and they're having a hard time, just like you. Everybody's struggling. Rich people, poor people, everybody's struggling. Rich people are some of the most uptight, miserable people I've ever met. I work in a grocery store where there are rich people that they're so wound up. They're so uptight, and they have a sense of entitlement, but it's not just entitlement. It's almost like, how can I control my life to every possible degree? Nothing satisfies you. Muhammad Ali said, I know this life isn't real. I conquered the world, and it still didn't bring me any satisfaction. I think about that all the time. This life isn't real. All right? It's both real in the sense of what we make real. All right? What did Einstein, I think, also had that quote. He said, reality is an illusion, albeit a persistent one. And our perception adds to that reality. And overthinking causes us to perceive reality in a very negative sort of way. When I'm attempting to do my cartooning, I tend to overthink things. I tend to compare myself to other artists. I tend to judge my jokes rather harshly. And I'm like, oh, that's not funny. Maybe it made me laugh a week ago, but now that I'm reading it again, it's not funny. I don't like it. And I end up not doing as much work as I actually could do. That's what I like about the format of these speeches that I give. That's what I'm calling them. It's not a podcast. Bro, I don't have a podcast. I hate podcasters. Because they think they're interesting, and they're not. Podcasters are not interesting. They're just people who think they can make a quick dollar off the internet by talking into a microphone for way longer than anyone wants to listen. But I want to do this almost as like a form of therapy for myself, and I really don't care if anyone listens. Though it would be cool if someone did. It's pretty cool that you're still listening at the 21-minute mark, man. So, I think when it comes to overthinking, the biggest problem I personally face is self-criticism. I criticize myself for not being as good as I think I should be. Because I know I have a certain sense of intelligence, a certain sense of awareness. And I feel like you should have figured things out by now. You should have figured out how to be better than this by now. You should have figured out how to save more money by now. You should have figured out how to beat resistance, is what Stephen Pressfield calls it in his book, The War of Art, and his follow-up book, Turning Pro. He says the artist faces every day this force, this negative force that he calls resistance, where it's like something's fighting you from being able to do the thing you know you want to do. I think it was Gurdjieff that talked a lot about the will to do. Like I that's something that's consumed me. That's what I want to be able to do, is have the will to do things. And I found that by letting go, by not overthinking, through meditation's been a huge thing for me. Psilocybin mushrooms in small doses, microdosing, has been very therapeutic when it comes to just kind of letting go of that self-critic. Though that might not be for everyone. I don't want to push holistic medications as an idea if someone has a substance abuse problem. I need to be socially responsible and say, just meditate. I don't know how you can mess your life up with that. Oh man, I meditated too much. I can't go into work. Don't. And if you're going to do any type of cathartic drug, take it easy. I can't remember who said this. I think it was Alan Watts. It was either like Alan Watts or Terence McKenna or one of those guys, or maybe it was Aldous Huxley for all I know, that said, when it comes to doing psychedelic drugs, once you receive the message, once you hear like God's voice, hang up the phone. Don't stay on the line. That's the problem with people that do psychedelic drugs. They stay on the phone too long. No, you hang up first. No, you hang up first. It's like, you've gotten the message. Hang up the phone. Do it to a limited degree. All right? I've done it to a very limited degree. Let me tell you something. For over 20 years, or not 20 years, that's a little much. 15, 10, let's call it 10. We're going to split the difference. For 10 years, I didn't drink coffee because it was making me too like jittery or something. I just started drinking coffee again. And then out of the blue, someone said, "Hey, I can get a hold of mushrooms. You want to do them?" I'm like, "Yes, I do. I've always wanted a microdose." I was terrified to do it. Started taking small doses of this chocolate bar that came from a dispensary, and to me it was fantastic. I feel that me pontificating into this microphone right now is a result of it. So either it's a good thing or it's a bad thing. I haven't quite figured that out yet. Because this is either a fantastic idea or it's horrible, and I have no business doing it, and I don't know which is the truth. But you know what? I'm not overthinking it. Don't overthink it. Why not? Just put your ideas out there. What could possibly go wrong in our society right now when people just share their opinion on the internet? I don't see anything wrong with that. Oh. Anyways. So this has been Jar Humor speaking. Please seek me out on the internet, at Jar Humor on any of the social medias and whatnot. And I have a website, jarhumor.com. I am a cartoonist. I like to make videos and stuff like that, little cartoon videos where I wave little cartoon characters around like Stick Stigley from 90s era and Nickelodeon. And that's where I got the idea for that, by the way. Little behind the scenes little trivia there. Oh, there's a friggin' helicopter going over. This was almost a perfect speech, and then a helicopter had to go over and just ruin everything. Nothing's ever going to be perfect. Sometimes the cat's going to whine at you. The helicopter's going to go overhead. Someone's going to drive by with their motorcycle or whatever. Like, there is noise in this world. Everyone's out there living their own life, having their own experience. We have to have a certain amount of respect for people until they become complete douchebags. Then we got to reel them in a little bit. But give people a little bit of, a little bit of room to express themselves, as long as they're not hurting anyone. And I want you to think about overthinking. I want you to really sit down and think about it. Think about this overthinking. And this is Jar Humor signing off.